Nick Thompson, vet here. I hope you're very, very well in these very strange times on which we live. But I guarantee you to give you a half an hour of some very good news to brighten the otherwise interesting times. So just while people are coming in, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what happened today. Arthur is 10 years old. He's reached double figures now. And so we went down to Poulton's Park, which is a little kind of amusement park near Southampton. And we we got there and I said, right, Arthur, I'll take you on a ride. And so we both went on this ride and I was absolutely terrified and he loved it. He went on another 6, most of them even more terrifying than the first one. So there you go. That was Arthur 7, Dad 1. But he had a fantastic day and we just got back in the door really. So there we go. Today, we are going to be discussing regenerative agriculture, and I'm bursting with enthusiasm to tell you about that. We're also going to be talking about Anthelmintic resistance. That's going to be a bit of a recap on last year that we did. And then we're going to bring it all together and say, what are we going to do about it? And I'm going to give you the final answer right now. It's all about nature and it's all about natural products. That is what is going to save us in the end. So exciting stuff, really exciting stuff. So let's, without any further ado, make sure that Rosie's happy with everything. So I just need to go like that and then put me down there and then move to there, and hopefully you can hear me and you can see me in the corner. Okay, that's good. And Rosie will just give me a little thumbs up, hopefully. So worms and domesticated animals. What are we going to say about worms and domesticated animals? There's an awful lot to say. So this is a seminar on regenerative agriculture and anthelmintic resistance. And we're going to jump right in right now. So a little bit of housekeeping. Number one is to say big thank you to Verm-X for allowing me the time to do this research. It's fascinating. I love it. And it's just a delight to do. So thank you very much, Verm-X. Our next gut doctor is Thursday, the 18th of August, and we're going to be doing gut and skin. How do they work? How are they similar? How do they affect each other? We're going to talk about microbiome in both, and lots of interesting stuff to go on there. So how's that? I haven't heard anything from Rosie, so I'm just going to make sure that everybody can hear. Hello, Fiona. Hello, Sasha. Hope you're both very well. It looks like nobody's saying they can't hear me, so I'm just going to press on. Here we go. So Rosie's probably had an emergency on the farm. Okay, so last year I had just discovered this amazing individual, Joel Salatin, who is the godfather of regenerative and non-chemical agriculture in the States. He's a real pioneer, very articulate, very passionate, and he's teaching the world how to farm without chemicals, how to bring the best from nature without using loads of pharmaceuticals. So it's right up our street. Really is wonderful. I'm just going to go back to check because I don't want to be talking. Hearing you loud and clear. Fiona, bless you. So that's Joel Salatin. If you haven't come across him, the easiest way to find him is on YouTube and look for his what do they call it? A TED Talk. Okay, that will give you like an 18-minute introduction to regenerative agriculture, Joel Salatin, and the joy of grass, the joy of soil. I never thought I would say that, but actually I am fascinated by the potential that soil and grass have to turn the climate crisis around. I kid you not. I'll say it again. Soil and grass, together with ruminants and well-managed regenerative farms, have the capacity to turn around the climate crisis. And so a great place to start is with Joel Salatin there. He's at Polyface Farms. This is him. There's a little article there that you can jump into. That'll give you an introduction. And so, yes, he's a farmer and he does wear suits occasionally. He's very eccentric, very interesting guy. So I think you'd be absolutely delighted there. And one of the things he does, for example, he hasn't used an antibiotic in 40 years. He hasn't used an Anthelmintic against worms in 40 years. And one of his tricks is that he runs chickens with his cattle. And so what he does is he has a mobile egg mobile, and it's a chicken coop on wheels that he tows into the middle of the field when the cows are there. And what the chickens do is they will scrabble through any of the dung that comes from the cattle and pick out all the parasites. And so chickens are happy because they're getting lots of lovely insects and what have you. And Joel Salatin is happy because he hasn't got a parasite problem in the slightest. And the cows are happy because they just are happy with the whole thing. What he's doing, in fact, is a thing called mob grazing. And mob grazing was first suggested by a guy called Alan Savory, Allan Savory, Savory, who's South African, Zimbabwean farmer. And he noticed that, for example, wildebeest will, they are in these enormous, million head herds, and they're always being moved on by predators, cheetahs and lions and what have you. And therefore, they never graze in one particular area for more than a couple of days, and they don't come back to that area for a long time, 90 to 180 days, whatever it might be, whatever that cycle is. And so he thought, this is really interesting, that nature is grazing briefly at very high stocking density and then moving on, and then allowing the grass to grow, fix carbon, put roots down into the soil, generating thicker and thicker and thicker, more healthy soils year on year. And then they move the cattle back onto that plot, that small plot with high stocking density, about 90 days later. Okay, so it has a long time to grow, and then it's grazed quickly and not completely, so that there are still many species left to regenerate within that small paddock. So I was very much stimulated, how shall I say, intrigued, delighted, and just wowed, frankly. Again, I never thought I'd be wowed by farmers. They're fantastic people. I've been working with them since I was at college, but I never considered them to be people who I would stand back and think, my goodness me, these are remarkable people, and they are going to save the planet. So that's where it started. There's going to be another one next year about the same time, mid-June. So if you're interested in this area, then I would strongly suggest you consider it there. The guy in the middle with the pink shirt, with the purple shirt, is Patrick Holden. This is he. He's the founding director of the Sustainable Food Trust, and he's just been presented with an honorary degree from a university I can't remember, by Prince Charles. So he's a big hitter, and he's actually quite friendly with Prince Charles. And Prince Charles is a big fan of biological and organic and such farming. So he's somebody to watch. Very, very fascinating guy. All this stuff, it really is. It's just it's beautiful, natural, chemical free, pharmaceutical free farming, and the cows love it, the farmers love it. The average regenerative farmer is a lot happier than the average herbicide, pesticide farmer, you know. So yeah, remarkable stuff. I can't really say enough. Now, let me introduce you to this the guy on the left of the screen with the beard. This is Charlie Arnott. He's an Australian farmer, and what happened was, on the way back from the Sustainable Food Trust, I was so enthused that I thought, I'm desperate to hear more of this stuff. And so I was flicking through the podcasts. I don't usually do podcasts. I do audible audio books galore, but I just thought, oh, I just need something, because it's about an hour and a half to home. And I heard this guy, and I thought, oh, do I really want to, listen to an Australian farmer? But I did, because he there was something about him that was really quite interesting. And in the last month, I have now listened to about 36 of his podcasts, and they're about an hour long each. So that kind of speaks volumes. This guy is an incredible Sydney butcher called Grant Hilliard, and he's written this book. It's called The Ethical Omnivore, and I'll show you it at the end when the page is a little bit bigger. And he says things like, for example, when you go to a fancy restaurant, and you will select with great care the grape, the region, the style, the age of the wine. But with the meat, you'll just say, oh, I'll have the lamb. And he's taking butchery and incredibly high animal welfare, raising these animals, and then as humanely, very, very humanely killing them, and then respectfully butchering them so that they're eating nose to tail. And so he is your man, and so he says this thing about, why aren't we as fussy about our meat as we are about our wine, for example? So I think this is a great thing. The answer, by the way, the champagne of lamb is the Southdown lamb. The Southdown lamb. There you go. Next time you go to the butcher, ask if they've got any Southdown lambs. So there you go, Charlie Arnott. I think I just cannot get enough of him and his guests. I've learnt an awful lot in the last month. I'm smiling from ear to ear. It's just so wonderful. And actually, with Grant Hilliard, that is a really fascinating interview. It's about episode 26. If you just wanted to listen to one, have a listen to that. It absolutely blew my mind. And I'd listened to 25 of them before that, and they're all very, very good. But Grant Hilliard has just taken it all to a whole new level. It's so fascinating. This is Charlie. I feel like I kind of know him now, and he says basically, this applies. This should be of interest to everybody. And when he lectures on it, he does a lot of teaching around Australia. He says, right, hands up all those who eat food, okay, because that is his constituency. These are the people who should care about the dwindling topsoil. Another one of his guests, for example, okay, so topsoil. The idea that the problem is that in Australia, for example, over the last 200 years, they have halved their topsoil. And when your topsoil goes, that's it. You've got nothing to grow with. If you think of it, the Etruscans, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Mayans, the Easter Islanders, Why did their civilizations collapse? The answer was because they weren't farming sustainably, not even sustainably, regeneratively. They weren't growing soil as they farmed. They just had this resource. It was called soil, and they just plundered it and plundered it and plundered it. And then one day they woke up and, oh my goodness, it's all blown away or it's all washed away. So there you go. This is, I'm just giving you a little hint so that you can do some research. If you'd like to, if you want to email me for some more references and things, then please do. This really is this is the future in terms of great food, in terms of saving the soil, which means saving the planet and our ecosystem, but also to turn around the climate crisis. One of his guests gave an example. So this is in Australia every year. How much soil do you think is either washed away or blown away? Okay. And so the guy was trying to give an indication of how much soil is lost from the whole of the Australian continent every year. Okay. So if you imagine, you know, the train carriages where they transport grain or coal or, yeah, you know, great long things, and they put them, you know, 50 of these carriages behind a big locomotive. Okay, so he said that the amount of soil lost, washed away or blown away in Australia, and this is just Australia, not the States or anywhere else, Europe for example, would fill enough of those trucks to go around the world. Okay, enough of those trucks in a single line, joined end to end around the world 15 times every year. Okay, that's how much soil. And I think the Europeans are not much better, and I think the Americans are probably worse. So it's remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable. Jump into it. It really is fantastic. I can't really say it enough. This is Charlie Massey, and he was about interview number 10 with Charlie Arnott. Charles Massey. He's written this amazing book called Call of the Reed Warbler, which will take you through what it is, why it's important, and the reason that the Australians are so advanced with this is because they are permanently living on the edge because it's so hot. And if they don't manage their farms regeneratively and very, very, very carefully, boom, it all just blows away. So and so this is he's a farmer, and in his late 50s he went back to university to do a PhD, and this book is the result of those the conversations with Australian regenerative farmers all around Australia. And so these are the guys to learn from, because if you can do it when it's 40 to 55 through the summer, then you can do it anywhere in the world. Okay, and they are doing it. They are building soil in 3 to 9 years in significant quantities of soil. They are turning their farms around. Have a look at this, for example. On the right is a regenerative farm, no chemicals and mob grazing and what have you. And on the left, you've got Mr. Chemical, conventional farmer. And, you know, they're putting on chemicals to try and get the most out of their land. And look what happens. The resource is disappearing. It's as simple as that, guys. So this whole business in Holland about the government saying you've got to reduce your stocking rates by 50%. You've got to get rid of 50% of your cattle, sheep, pigs, what have you, because they are causing climate crises. That's not actually the case. It's the way they are raised. It's the cow, not the cow, is what we say. It's the how, not the cow. So if the whole of Holland went away from industrial agriculture towards a more regenerative way of farming, then they would not have this. And the same is true in England and throughout Europe, throughout the States and what have you. I could go on all evening. I won't. Okay, so that is my current obsession. Regenerative Agriculture, fascinating. Email me if you'd like to more information. Let's just have a little recap on antimicrobial resistance, which is also a game changer. So what is antibiotic resistance? Let's just go through. I'm going to tell you about Anthelmintic. So worms being resistant to common wormers, chemical, pharmaceutical, should I say, wormers. But I'll use antibiotics because it may be more easy to understand the antibiotic picture. So here we have Fred and Neddy, the horse, and they both have a mixed population of bacteria in their gut. They've got good bugs, which are the darker ones, and they've got these resistant bugs, which may be good, may be bad, pathogenic, but they have developed resistance to the wormers, to the antibiotic. So when the doctor gives Fred his antibiotic and the vet gives Neddy his antibiotic, what happens? A significant number of the bacteria are killed, but the resistance ones are not. And therefore, what do? They grow, because there's no more competition. And thus, by using antibiotics, you will, by definition, a little bit every single time, promote the genesis, the formation of antibiotic resistant bacteria. So by the same token, we can use that model to look at Anthelmintic, and Anthelmintic is a chemical wormer, essentially. Well, a wormer, not necessarily chemical. So Fred and Neddy, they have a mixed population of worms within them for this example. Okay, and a few of them in Fred and a few of them in Neddy are resistant to the wormer. So when the doctor gives Fred a dose of wormer because he's been to Africa or wherever, and the vet gives Neddy his Anthelmintic dewormer, then what happens? Exactly the same. You kill off all those which are able to be killed, leaving the resistant ones there, which then grow up, which means that over time you're not able to use that Anthelmintic, that pharmaceutical wormer, on you or the horse, which is a disaster, because then you've got nothing left to use. So that's why we need to work on antibiotic resistance and Anthelmintic resistance. Otherwise, here you go. These are the bacteria. They will grow even in the presence of the antibiotic. Just to give you an example of just how big this is, the resistance issue, it's as big as the soil issue. I would argue that perhaps food is even more important than antibiotic resistance, but let's face it, they are both absolutely dire if they go wrong. The WHO say antibiotic resistance has been described as the single greatest challenge in infectious disease today. That's quite a big statement, methinks. And to give you an example of how this is, how fast this is all happening, even by the 1970s, multiple species helminth worms were resistant to one of the really common ones, benzimidazoles, and this was in horses and sheep throughout the world. Okay, so it wasn't just in some remote part of Idaho or wherever it might be. This is all around the world, to the extent, because they've been a little bit too gung-ho, possibly, they've definitely used simple pharmaceuticals extensively, very, very extensively in these non-regenerative farming situations, unlike the Joel Salatin model. And what they're seeing is that it can threaten the profitability of the entire sheep industry, and that was 9 years ago. So this is really, really big stuff. So if getting fantastic meat and sequestering carbon isn't enough, then having reducing our dependence on pharmaceutical wormers and antibiotics, then that must be a good thing. It must be something that we should really look at very carefully. So what can we do to boost regenerative agriculture? The Aussies call it Regen Ag. So what can we do to boost it? So the most important thing you can do, and I realize the cost of living is rising, but as they say, as the Regen Ag Brigade say, cheap food costs the earth. There you go. I'll leave you that for now. So if at all possible, find local regenerative farmers, talk to them, support them, and also find other people who are in your environment, because if they're even half as enthusiastic about this whole thing as I am, they will be very good to talk to and very entertaining, I'm sure. So what can we do to reduce Anthelmintic drug worm resistance? And the answer is we should not be just using these pharmaceutical wormers on any species willy-nilly. We should be worm counting and only using, if you need to use a pharmaceutical, only using them if you have demonstrated the presence of worms in your dog or your cat or your horse or your cow or your sheep or what have you. Okay. At my practice, we use wormcount.com, but Westgate and FetClab are very, very good as well. So we or our farmers, if they can move into the regenerative space and improve health, improve the health of the farm, the soil, then there will be less dependence on pharmaceuticals to keep the farm going. It's also a lot cheaper if you don't have to buy loads of drugs and loads of fertilizer every year. We should strive to improve the gut health, or improve our own gut health with good food, avoiding ultra-processed food, avoiding antibiotics where we can, eating high nutrient density regenerative agriculture produce. That's veggies, that's fruit, that's meat, and we should be feeding, where possible, regenerative agriculture meat. And I think raw food will promote the health of guts. I've seen it. I see it every day within my patients, and I think it's just a wonderful thing, because if your gut is healthy, your immune system is healthy, your skin is healthy. We're going to do that next month, and I think I would suggest that we try to major and we try to lean heavily on non-pharmaceutical gut hygiene products. So I love using Verm-X. I use it with all my patients when we have the conversation about worming, and just really delighted to use it. So nature, if we work with nature, with regenerative agriculture, we can save the planet. That is not too grandiose a statement. If we use natural products, we can improve gut health, and we can avoid the use of anthelmintics, and thus avoid this inevitable march to anthelmintic resistance. Okay, so we're done. I'll come back to you in 1 second. I'll show you some of these books, and just to remind you that we're going to be talking about gut and skin. We're going to be talking microbiome and all that good stuff next time on the 18th of August. So, oops, we'll go back to there, and I will come and say hello. Let's hide that, and there we are, back again. Yeah, great. Thank you, Rosie. Okay, so here you go, the books. So Charles, can you read that? Yeah, Charles Massey, Call of the Reed Warbler, fairly big old book. I'm about halfway through it. I generally do audio books, but they don't do this in an audio book, and I was so smitten with the subject. I thought, right, I'm going to read Charlie Massey. And the other one is the Sydney, the deep thinking Sydney butcher, and he is called Grant Hilliard, and the book there, The Ethical Omnivore. Rosie, you'd absolutely love it. Sasha, you'd absolutely love it. Zeb, you'd love it as well. So jump in, please, please, please. Michelle, yes, the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Oh, I've gone out of focus. Hang on, let me go like that. It usually doesn't check. Hello. Ooh. Hello. Anyway, you can hear me. It's not because you've had too many glasses of wine. It's because something's happened with the focus. Oh, there you go. So I won't move too much. Yeah, Michelle says, yeah, the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. It is exactly that, and they're continuing to do it. There's a lot of statistics to say that they're losing soil hand over fist year after year after year after year, and very, 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 very scary. Any questions, guys? I have absolutely blasted you with things there. Okay. No, I think everyone's happy. Listen, guys, very best of luck. Strange times we live in. Jump into regenerative agriculture. It is the most positive thing I have heard in the last 2 years, if not the last 2 decades. The Charlie Arnott podcast is really uplifting, very positive. He's a great interviewer. They're not heavy at all. I listen to them when I'm taking the dogs for a walk, and just absolutely love it. There you go. So we'll see you Thursday the 18th. Did I say Wednesday? No, it's not. It's Thursday the 18th of August. We always do these on a Thursday. So it's Thursday, 7 p.m, 18th of August. We will see you then, and really look forward to seeing you. And I will have done an awful lot more of the Charlie Arnott. Hopefully we'll have finished Charles Massey, and we'll regale you with a little bit more regenerative agriculture. All the very best, guys. Get out in the sunshine. It really is a beautiful evening. We are going on holiday tomorrow to the jolly lovely St. Ives, and we're going to absolutely cook this weekend. So think of us. Take care of yourselves, and thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you.